Hello, everyone. It's Nick from Claret and Booze, and welcome to my daily ramble. Hope you're all well. I'll let you know what we're going to be talking about in a minute. But before I do, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit that bell notification button. And if you enjoy the show, and even if you don't, please hit that like button because it really does help us. It tells YouTube to share it around, and it is very much appreciated. So today, look, I know we had a nice upbeat video from John yesterday. Really good video as well. I enjoyed that. But it's just, for me, it's just been bad news, bad news, bad news. That's all I've had. It's bad news with West Ham. It is. There's loads to cover. There is. I've got some exclusive information for you as well. I have, which we'll talk about later on. But we're going to cover the injuries that we've already heard about. But we're going to cover those. Well, some we have, some we haven't. We're going to cover that. We're going to cover players that we're linked with. We're going to cover Declan Rice. We're going to cover Mark Noble, and also, you know, have a little chat about the season as well, and what this kind of means for us. All right, so well, let's get cracking anyway. Let's quickly move on with the treatment room. So we already know about Danny Ings, who got injured in the first 24 hours. You know, he came on. He didn't get injured for 18 months for Aston Villa, comes to us and he's injured after 18 minutes. It's a typical West Ham thing, isn't it? I'm not gonna knock the club for the Danny Ings signing because I was behind it. I think in our position to go out and find a proven Premier League goal scorer, I think we did well. But that was bad luck. Yes, injury prone players, which he is, are more susceptible to getting injury. But come on, 24 hours. It's ridiculous. It really is. So yeah, it is annoying, and it's very easy in retrospect to go back and start pointing the finger at the deal because he has got a bad injury record, and it does look silly now. He's a highest paid player, but we don't know exactly how bad it is. It could be better. It could be worse than the 4 weeks it's been mentioned because the club are being quite ambiguous about it. Really, they're not really revealing too much, so I don't know what you read into that. And they've been the same really about Skamaka and now Kurt Zuma as well. Kurt bloody Zuma, just back from injury, and he's gone and got a different flavour of injury. He hasn't done his knees this time because we know his knees are knackered. But this is a quad injury or a thigh strain to the rest of us. But people are estimating around about 4 weeks for that as well. So that's Ings, Skamaka, and Kurt Zuma injured and out for a month. You know, and we've got a horrendous run of games coming up. We really have. We need these players, and you can only imagine that that David Moyes was probably happy with what he saw against Everton. You know, we didn't enjoy watching it. We're happy with the 3 points, but we didn't concede. We looked solid at the back. I can imagine that was how David Moyes was going to set up going forward with 3 centre backs in that system. But that's gone now. So what do? Would you bring in Cresswell? Do you bring in Kehrer? I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's got to go out now, Sullivan, and bring other players in. You know, we're linked with John covered players we was linked with yesterday. We're linked with Keane and we're linked with Maguire. Maguire's not going to happen. Ten Hag's already said no, not a chance. So Maguire's staying put. Even if he was available, would he come to West Ham? I'm not sure. You know, we're not a desirable club for anyone at the minute, especially with the manager. So with in this position, because we're linked with Ziyech as well, and we know that we were linked with Danjuma, who's now rejected Everton and he's gone to Spurs. A player that allegedly said he rejected the Everton deal because they wouldn't give him, they wouldn't confirm to him, wouldn't give him assurances. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. They wouldn't give him assurances that they weren't about to go out and appoint David Moyes as their manager. Now look, I don't know how much you can believe that. You know, there was a quote from someone, so it's not a completely baseless rumour, but I can kind of understand it to a degree if it is the case, because you've got a team that are in the bottom 3. I don't think that's a problem. I think players that come in at this stage, especially on loan, they're looking at the bigger picture. They're looking at, you know, increasing their value, coming in, making an impact, you know, Jesse Lingard style, and going and earning themselves a massive contract in the summer. Well, yes, you've got Jesse Lingard as an example, but on the whole, David Moyes doesn't play new players. When he does play them, he plays them out of position. There's more evidence that David Moyes depreciates your value as opposed to increase it. That's just a fact. So it's a risk for the player to come and play for David Moyes, in my opinion. But yeah, can I believe it? Probably not. It's probably just the fact that Spurs are at the top of the table and they're challenging for the Champions League. I don't think he'll get much game time there though, Danjuma. Got to be honest. But we're linked with Ziyech as well. As we know, Chelsea have been out splashing the cash, bringing in loads of players left, right, and centre. He doesn't get much game time as it is, so we could bring him in on loan. We've got his fellow countrymen in Aguirre playing for us. They could be mates. We could be doing a bit of a Souček, Soufal, Pallaroo thing, you know. Get Aguirre to sort of get in his ear and get him over. I think that would be a good deal. Although he is renowned for being a bit moody, so I don't know whether yeah, he's a bit sulky apparently, Ziyech. So I don't think he'd pass David Moyes' MOT. So yeah, same as Danjuma didn't. We've had 2 chances to sign him, and he didn't want him. So it's going to be Moffey, another player that doesn't want to come to us. He's been quoted as saying so, but we're still chasing him. David Moyes loves doing that, doesn't he? The only thing that could help that deal help it along, is the fact that Areola has apparently thrown his toys out the pram. He's had enough. That could be why he's not been available in the squad. They've said it was down to injury. Apparently, it's not. And he's requested a move. He wants to get back in the French setup, and he's not going to do that while he's not playing. Therefore, he's asked for a move, and Lorient are in need of a keeper. So he could be used, I suppose, in that part in a bit of a party exchange deal. But look, you know, if the player Moffey, if he don't want to come to us, he don't want to come to us. Move on to someone else. We ain't got long left in this bloody window. So yeah, it's all looking terrible, to be honest, on the squad front. You know, we're so frail, we're so fragile. We've got so many players that are, you know, bloody injuries waiting to happen. I mean, all of the backline, really, all of them. Even one of the centre backs that hasn't been injured yet, in Kera, he had an awful injury history before he came to us. Not good at all. Some bad injuries. Aguirre, we know he's got wankles. We know that. A wonderful player, absolutely brilliant centre back, but that injury that he sustained for us, he's done twice before he came to us. Ogbonna's getting older, and he naturally just gets injured anyway. So we've got and Zuma, we know. You know Zuma, the sniper's nightmare. His knees are so knackered, he can't even fucking walk straight. We know that all of these players are susceptible to injury. And, we need more players. We need to get some more players in. He's got to do it. He has to do it, Sullivan. So it's just tough shit. It's either that or you just accept our fate. I don't know. I mean, makes it seem a little bit silly now, letting Dawson go without having another player in, now that Zuma has got injured. I know it was the right thing to do. But they should absolutely have got another player in, you know, to replace Dawson beforehand. It's probably going to end up being Keane. Michael Keane on loan. That's the one rumour that will not go away. The player's come out and said he wants to join West Ham, which is always nice if a player wants to join versus Moffey, who thinks he's too good for us, because he probably is. Michael Keane wants to come. He's only 30. I'll tell you what, he ain't got a bad injury record. I had a little look, you know. I had a little look on transfer market, and he's no serious injuries for Michael Keane. So maybe he does just need a change of scenery. You don't know. He could come back in. Interestingly, Danny Ings and Michael Keane have both played under Sean Dyche as well. So there could be a bit of a link there. You know, is David Moyes doing this, or is someone else doing it behind the scenes? I don't think so. That's just me being hopeful. I think David Moyes is here until he loses a Nottingham Forest game, or doesn't, and gets another 3 or 4 games after that. You know, is what it is. The Declan Rice rumour out this week, you know, hot off the press, is that Arsenal are in pole position to sign Declan Rice. You know, we've had bloody Emmanuel Petit on the TV. You know, the Premier League helping Arsenal tap up Declan Rice in public. I mean, how bad was that? We've had articles written in the Spanish press to say that Declan Rice has now officially rebuffed offers from Real Madrid, who are in line to sign him, because he's given his commitment to he's given Arsenal his commitment to join them. He wants to go and play for Arteta. He's excited by their project. He wants to go there. So that's really great, Dec. Cheers, mate. I'm glad you've got all your ducks in a row. You know, glad you're focusing on the important things. You know, as club captain. So yeah, Deck's sorted. Deck's all right. He's going to get his move. God knows where we'll be next year. But I don't know I don't know whether that bid is going to come in January, and if it did, would you not just accept it? You know, I desperately didn't want Declan Rice to go. I love Declan Rice, I do, but I've finally accepted that it's done. It's done, and I don't know that having your club captain basically with one foot out the door is a good thing, is a healthy thing. You know, there's rumours that Arsenal are they've had meetings about putting an offer in for Declan Rice in this window. So it could be, and the club have come out and they've rebuffed that. West Ham have come out and they've said we will only do that if they meet the valuation. So I suppose 100 million. If they came in for 100 million, do you know what? I'd probably take it. At this point, I'd probably take it. I'm fed up with it all now. I'm fed up with it. You know, it's not like I mean, look, he's a central defensive midfielder. He is a great player, but it ain't like we're letting go of Haaland or anyone like that, is it? He's a good player. He doesn't really benefit us as much as he'll benefit someone else. He's being used purely as a shield to sit in front of that back four now. I'm pretty certain we can get someone else to do that job. And with the money that was brought in, providing we reinvested that, it would only, you'd like to think it would only help us, providing the money was spent wisely, of course, which is something that we typically don't do. So yeah, what would you do? Would you, if Arsenal come in with a bid of 100 million, would you take it? Would you take it now, or would you keep him around? I know John was saying yesterday the player might want to stay because it'll look bad on him to West Ham fans if he goes. I don't think he really cares about that, does he? He wouldn't have been coming out saying what he's been saying after in press conferences when he was playing for England. If that was the case, if he was that bothered. I think if he gets an opportunity, mate, he's off. Old Deckers, that's what I think. And providing we get the money for him, I'm at the stage now where I'm just like, whatever, don't care. Mark Noble. So I'm going to let you know what the exclusive news is, right, that I've got. The exclusive news, I'll let you know what that is after I've spoken about Mark Noble. So Mark Noble, as we know, is rumoured to have had a massive fallout with David Sullivan. Massive fallout. It was rumoured, people poo-pooed it when it was kind of circulating on Twitter, and then proper good accounts started getting hold of the story, and some ITKs have come out and confirmed it as well. And apparently it did go as far as him handing his notice in, effectively, his resignation. You know, 4 weeks, that's it, I've had enough. I ain't working for this circus no more. But yeah, they had a meeting the following day after the big fallout, whatever it was about. And for the time being, he's going to continue as sporting director. What was it about, though? You know, what was it about? Was it, it could have been anything, really, couldn't it? When you look at the things that have just happened over the past week, you know, the fact that the club have come out and publicly not been backing David Moyes, could it be that? Because he backs David Moyes, or could it be something else? Could it be that he secretly doesn't back David Moyes and he thinks it's the right thing to move on from him and he's getting frustrated because they're keeping him around because it's damaging the club? Could it be that Pierre Ekwa has just been sold off? You know, another gem from the youth academy. And I know what people are going to say. Oh, all these players don't go on to do nothing. You know. Well, yeah, we have got one example. We've got Josh Cullen, who's done brilliant since he's left. He went to Anderlecht as a captain with Vincent Kompany as manager. Vincent Kompany moved back, took over Burnley, brought Cullen with him, made him club captain. They're coming up into the Premier League next year, and he will be a good, solid Premier League player. Far better player, twice the player of Thomas Souček. So there's one example. These players, you don't know what they're going to be like unless you give them a chance. If David Moyes had have had Declan Rice when Declan Rice burst on the scene, Declan Rice would have made that mistake against Newcastle. That would have been it. You'd have seen no more of him because he wouldn't have trusted him after that. Wouldn't have trusted him. Not every kid is going to be a wonder kid as soon as they burst on the scene. They're not. So it's just a fact. And sometimes they don't go on to succeed when you remove them from the environment that they've been brought up in because it's different. You know, sometimes they'll crumble even more. You know, they're kids. A lot of them are going to be fragile. They need their support network. So that's probably another reason why when kids do get discarded from the environment, sometimes change is good, but with a lot of people, it's going to be too much for them. So I'm sure that's something to do with it as well. I'm sure all these players that are in these academies are good players, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be in there. Some will step up, some won't. Mark Noble's given a story himself about how when he was given his chance, he said all of a sudden he was doing things on a football pitch that he didn't even know he could do. His game automatically went to another level. He just grabbed the opportunity instinctively. That's what will happen with some players. They'll go up a few gears. Other players will stall. They'll freeze. But yeah, this absolute nonsense. You know, this red bullshit model that David Moyes has always banged on about. It's all nonsense. It ain't even a pipe dream. It's nothing he dreams about. It's just there is no project. You know, he turned down a South American potential superstar when we was in desperate need of a striker last January. You know, a teenager, someone to come in. That is the definition of a Red Bull model. Buy players at lower value, bring players through your academy, and then you sell them at a higher value, and you keep that. You've got like a conveyor belt of talent. No chance. You can only make... David Moyes doesn't make players. He breaks them. He breaks them. He breaks them. I'm sorry. It's just as simple as that. There is no project, and the youth academy are going to suffer as a result of him, as long as he's here, which I don't think will be long. It'll be maximum the summer. I hope he's gone before then, but I've got no control over it. You know, I'm starting to lose the fucking will to live with it, to be quite honest. So yeah, Noble has had a fallout. Anyway, getting back to Mark Noble, what was it about? We just don't know. We just don't know. Could it have been Danny Ings? Could it have been a Danny Ings deal? You know, they didn't run it past him. We know is he like, hang on a minute, you brought me in as sporting director, so I ain't got no responsibility here. What's going on? So maybe they've had to sit down and go through the finer aspects of his job and fine tune it a little bit until he's happy with it. I don't know. Because could you imagine the embarrassment for David Sullivan if Mark Noble walked out within a month of joining? That would probably be the straw that broke the camel's back with the fan base, I think. On top of everything else that's going on, that would be final confirmation that there is something terribly, drastically fucking wrong if Mark Noble did that. So they've not allowed that to happen. Whether or not that's relationship dead between them now or not, I don't know. But looking at it from a different angle, Mark Noble's angle, looking at him, he's a West Ham lad. He's West Ham through and through, Mark Noble. Your team's in the bottom three, and I don't think it's a very noble thing to do for you to be coming out, Mark, and throwing your toys out the pram because you've got a few issues about your job and threatening to walk away when your team are in turmoil. So I will say that. Not too impressed with that. If it's true, may not be true. If it's not true, I'll take it back. If it is true, and you did throw your notice in, after making us wait 6 months for you to join, then within a month, when we're on our arses, because there's a few things you don't like, you throw the towel in. Yeah, don't know about that. Let me know what you think in the chat anyway. If that scenario did happen, which has basically been confirmed now. Not by Sullivan, of course. He's not going to, is he? Be a massive embarrassment for him. That's why he came out and he refuted the claims himself. Sullivan came out himself and said, no, that didn't happen. It definitely didn't happen. So you know it did. It did happen. Right, this breaking news, right? Breaking news. Now, this is, and I promise you, this is from a source that is very close to the players, right? We know him very well. It's actually it's one of Gary's friends. Very close to the players, and talks to them quite a lot. And he's basically come out and given us a few gems from the players. Majority of names were mentioned, and he mentioned Declan Rice in particular, who has had it with David Moyes. David Moyes has lost the dressing room. He has. The players are not playing for David Moyes anymore. They're playing for themselves and they're playing for the fans. Whether that's going to change or not once the January transfer window closes, if you've got players that are sort of trying to elevate their value on the pitch so that they get their moves, I don't know. But relationships are dead with certain players. Other players are just completely and utterly fed up with him, with his tactics. They think he's negative. They think he's suppressing the team. They think he's suppressing individuals. They think that he's completely and utterly removing their ability to enjoy the game that they play. I think he's a dinosaur. Okay? They do. Now, that being the case, right? And this is a thing, like I say, who we've spoken to, it's not a lie. It's not a lie, okay? Trust me, it's not. So that being the case, if they're that loose-lipped enough to talk to an individual like this, then you know they're going to have been talking to people at the club. You know that these players will have been relaying their frustrations to Mark Noble, the new sporting director, and they probably would have gone higher than that. You would like to think that the captain of the club, if he's got an issue with Moyes this bad, this will have gone upstairs. He would have spoken to Sullivan directly. So it does make you wonder, doesn't it? What makes a board think if David Moyes has clearly lost those players? What makes him think that he can turn this around? Honestly, it is a mutiny, you know? The HMS Moyes is sinking. And, you know, the Rats are looking to leave the ship. We had those links to, you know, with Nolan and Warburton were linked with jobs away. You know, I think Warburton was linked with the Blackpool job and Nolan was linked with Portsmouth. We've got players left, right and centre all over the squad that don't want to be there. It's chaos at the minute. It really is. I can't really see a simple fix now because it would take some character, some man to come in now and completely and utterly reverse this mess and galvanise everyone. I'm not saying it's impossible, but my God, is it going to take some work now? Because it isn't just removing the cloud now over some of these players. If they've decided they've had enough, if it's got, this is the worry. If it's got to a stage where they're sick of West Ham now, they're not just sick of Moyes, they're sick to the back teeth of West Ham. Then it becomes irreparable at that point, and that's where the mess becomes incredibly difficult for another manager to come in. And that's a danger. That's a risk you run when you keep someone in place for too long. You know, that's why I don't think the relationship with Haller could ever have been repaired, because he just wanted out. He was like, oh, no, I'm sick of this now. I just want to go somewhere else. I'm done. And that's the danger. And when that happens, and you need to dig deep, where do you find that strength from, and that hunger and that desire to get yourself out of a relegation battle when you're in amongst other teams that are probably going to be fighting? They are. You might have a better team than them on paper, but it's not going to be easy. Like I say, we're 3 points above the relegation zone still. We've got a horrific run coming up the next 3 games. We're probably not going to get anything from those. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, we will. Well, yeah, based on what, mate? Based on what? It is football. It's a funny old game, as Greavesy used to say, but it's not really that funny anymore with West Ham. There aren't really many surprises. What should happen tends to happen, even when it comes to beating absolute shit teams. We'll beat them. We will. But then there'll be no surprises the other way. So, yeah, let me know what you think anyway. Let me know what you think about all of those stories. All of those stories. Let me know in the comments, and I will respond to them all. I'll come back to you and have a little natter. There's tons. There's tons in there that I've crammed into that little 20 minutes. So yeah, like I say, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit that bell notification icon, and please like the video, please. That really helps us. Okay, right. I'll speak to you all soon. Gary's back tomorrow. He's doing a ramble tomorrow. All right, then. Gabby Owens.